ish.
Whatever.
I think we're live.
I was gonna try and be cool, but
Anyway, and we're live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 135, your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rhett.
Welcome to the show. This ever so eventful show. Nothing else going on in the world.
Not at all.
Just two guys opening beers and talking tech. That's all. That's all that's going to happen, I swear. Probably not. If you've never seen the show before, this is our once weekly live show. We do open beer on the show and consume it. However, we do keep the content friendly in both language and in content. And we usually start with about 20 minutes of beer news, about an hour's worth of tech news, and then we wrap up with games, pop culture, entertainment, or whatever we want to talk about. If you donate a super chat, we will read those all on the air, assuming they're appropriate for all ages. And if you're drinking along with us, whether alcoholic or not, give us some early show shoutouts in the chat, and we'll say them out loud. How's it going, Rhett?
It's going good. Life's crazy, but we're healthy and happy and safe over here. So you can't ask for much more than that sometimes.
Yeah.
A glass full of whiskey. I mean, extra full if you can look at that bad boy.
Yeah, I know. That's a finger and a half at least.
I've had a long work week, so
yeah. What kind of whiskey are you drinking?
I can't say. I can't say. No, I just got some Jim Beam here, so
okay. My
sweet Jim Beam glass.
That's okay.
See. Yeah.
You got a holiday pack. Look at that.
Yeah, I did actually. So right before lockdown here in Oregon, I managed to get some Jim Beam with these sweet glasses.
Nice.
It's not the same Jim Beam. I ran out a long time ago.
Yeah, I do have a really sweet Jack Daniel's square rocks glass, kind of similar to that.
Yeah, they're nice, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, how have you been? It's been a minute since we've talked.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
You would think that everybody in craft computing is just like joined at the hip, but as life gets crazier, that's just not the case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you went off and had a kid.
Yeah. What was I thinking? No.
Yeah. No, I think I've seen you in the flesh once since quarantine started. And yeah. Yeah, boy, it's been an interesting month since we really talked last. I mean, we catch each other online every once in a while, but
yeah.
This is the longest we talk.
Yeah. No, it really is. But it's always a blast getting to catch up. But but you guys are still healthy, I hope. And
yeah, we're doing well. We did have one weekend, I think 2 weeks ago, where my youngest daughter Bit, she came down with a fever for like 5 days, and it would go to 101, and then it would drop for an hour, and then it's like spike back up and then go back down. And none of us were like feeling well, and we're like, okay, we need to like not go anywhere for a while. And it was 4 or 5 days where she had a fever and whatnot. And we just caught some little bug. I mean, it certainly wasn't the corona. If I were to catch corona, I would have got it from Bite My Bits in Vegas. But other than that, we've been doing pretty well. I mean, it's been a hectic week. You can probably tell I sound a little bit ragged.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, to put it nicely.
Right. Everyone's going, is that a new mic? No, I'm just tired. That's all this is right now. Anyway, I started early. I popped a beer about half hour ago or so. So I'm drinking a Old Bust Head Wildcat IPA. It's an okay IPA. It's 6.2%. I think this is from Virginia, if I want to say right. If I remember correctly.
It looks good.
Yeah. So it's an awesome label. I mean, I love the the old dude on there.
That's dope. Yeah, I got some beers too. I got my cooler next to me here. So nothing fancy. Beer money is tight this deep into quarantine. So they got that new Hop Valley red can. It's a light lager. It's been on sale everywhere I go. You get like an 18 rack for $10 or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm rolling deep in the red can.
Yep.
But it's good. It tastes great.
Oh, good. Let's see here.
John probably. Actually, I don't know if it was out when John was going on his light beer quest or not.
That's only been since March. I mean, March wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. But it seems like a
Dude, oh my God. I mean, we
Yeah.
probably, I'm sure, like, we've talked about this 100 times already, but it's like longest year on record.
Yeah.
and it's June 3rd. It is June 3rd, man. I mean, remember at the start of the year, Australia's on fire, Iranian generals are getting assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like years ago.
Yeah.
And here
everything
we are,
was
man.
so calm back then.
Yeah, man. We're going to get to be like grandparent age and everyone's going to be like, how do you guys have so much mental endurance? I'd be like,
yeah.
Well, because we entered into the place where the tachyon particles were unstable and time was not consistent with normal standards.
We seem to be lurching forward in time. You're that bubblegum Tate? Well, I sure ain't his grandma.
Oh, my hands are clean. Don't judge me for touching my face.
Anyway, let's read a couple of early show shout-outs here. Novella Hub drinking a Mickler Brewing Beer Geek Vanilla Shake Imperial Stout, 11%. Scott's got a gin and tonic. Anthroplexus says, Happy Wednesday, gents. Pure West, an unfiltered West Coast IPA from Pure Project in San Diego. I've not heard of them. But I do like an unfiltered IPA. I've actually got I've got a Sticky Hands in my fridge right now from Block 15, and I had another unfiltered IPA over the weekend. I don't remember what it was, but
Nice.
Confluence Brewing Mango Dodger rye barrel aged double IPA from Skull. I've had that one. I believe Skull actually sent that one out to me at one point. But no, I've had that one. It is definitely solid. Rougarou, drinking H2O with a drizzle of chemicals. Big Spoon, gigantic massive, 2019, 14%. He's outdoing me.
He's
tonight.
going for it.
Let's see. I Love Animes drinking a coffee. Killed Eyes drinking Maker's Mark. Very nice.
Classy.
That's
That's the whiskey of gentlemen.
That's
Cheers to you, sir.
right. Had some Aldi beer and it doesn't suck. Whatever gets the job done sometimes. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll never judge anybody for the beer they drink.
Right. Well, sometimes.
Well, it depends.
Hops has got a Pseudo Sue. Excellent. From is that Toppling Goliath, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, those are really good.
They are really good. Yep. All right. Let's get into some news. Let's start talking it since we skipped the beer openings.
First? It can't be a first, can it?
Not often do I jump the gun and come with a bottle open already.
I would have done the same thing, but I thought, I got to save my beers for cracking open. But nah, I'm going to drink my whiskey now. So,
yeah. All right. How would you like to hike the Appalachian Trail, get paid $20,000 in free beer to do it, and free beer to do it, not $20,000 in free beer?
Yeah, I'd do it.
I mean, I think you're on board for either situation, but
yeah, I mean, whatever.
$20,000 worth of beer or $20,000 and free beer, sweet. Who is that? Devil's Backbone and Cho. Who is that?
No.
Devil's Backbone Brewing.
Beer, I think.
Yeah. Devil's Backbone Brewing is offering basically a summer job next year where they will hire you as their chief hiking officer for a salary of $20,000, where you will spend 5 to 7 months hiking the Appalachian Trail and drinking beer. Uh, and if you're wondering, they are taking applications now.
Nice.
You'll be hiking the trail between May and September 2021, and you'll be provided equipment as well as treated to some, quote, big old beer parties along the way, end quote. Quite honestly, getting out into the middle of the forest right now, hiking around and just drinking some beer sounds phenomenal.
Right?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
not
if there's
not a bad
anything else I
gig.
would rather do right now.
Yeah, same here. Doesn't sound like a bad gig.
Yeah. So if you are interested, they are accepting applications right now. You can, obviously they want someone who is blogger, vlogger, video savvy, that kind of thing. They want a good personality. They want to follow this person along the trail and see what they do and what they talk about and
John,
whatnot.
sounds like you were made for this job.
Right?
Come on, Hops.
The only problem is it's in Virginia.
He's good. He ain't tied down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of am. The whole mortgage and family of four.
Not you. I said John.
Oh, John. Yeah, John, get on this.
Yeah.
He's only got a family of 3. Screw that. His kids are still
Exactly.
young. Yeah.
Yeah, see? They'll grow up. They won't remember who's dad. Move on with their life,
Yep.
But you'll come back with 20K, baby.
That's right. That's right. Kind of hard to spend 20K when you're on the Appalachian Trail as well. So,
Yeah, I imagine that's probably true.
yeah.
Although
Again,
you think
probably not
about
a bad
it,
gig.
you think about how much the average, I read about this a lot, like how much does it cost to hike the Pacific Crest Trail here on the West Coast?
Mhm.
And a buddy of mine did it, and I'm pretty sure, obviously not counting bills or anything in real life, because I think he kind of dropped everything. I think he spent about $5,000 to $7,000 total for gear, for food, for occasionally he would splurge on the hotel. Like when he got into Ashland, he stayed in a hotel just to get in and take a shower and charge your phone up and all that type of stuff. Which isn't, uncommon or breaking the rules or anything, but still $7,000, so you got to imagine, unless you got the gear already to hike the Appalachian Trail, that you might be dipping into your adventuring fund a little bit.
Oh, excuse me. I told you I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. We can go on to the next story, though.
Yeah. So Firestone Walker makes it official. They are exiting the majority of New England. They've been kind of on this trail for a little while because of lagging beer sales. They had already moved out of the northernmost portions of New England with Maine, Vermont, and Rhode Island. And now they are pulling out from some more New England states. Pulling out of where are they at?
Yeah, I think it's
New
says
Hampshire,
it right at the top.
Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So they'll still be in New York, but that's about it. New York, Pennsylvania, done.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
it just
they're,
sounds
they're also
like
laying off
everything.
9 people from their admin team. So
Yeah. And it just sounds like with everything that's going on, they're struggling to sell beer before it goes bad. They, their whole kind of infrastructure is taking a big hit. So, not necessarily, it is a sad thing, but, bad times come and go. So hopefully they'll bounce back, we'll see. I hate to see a brewery go. They're not exactly my favorite, but they brew some good stuff.
Right. I love their specialty stuff.
Yeah.
I have a couple Firestone Walkers
Yeah.
in the fridge right now. Novella Hub says Jeff needs an energy drink. Actually, one of my Firestone Walkers is one of their 2019 select special reserves. It's one of their coffee ones. So
Dang, sounds good.
I could break that out. It's like a vanilla toffee and coffee, if I remember correctly.
That sounds delish.
Right? And in fact, I'm looking down at the beer I have in front of me going,
How dare you? Well,
Uh,
maybe when you're finished with that one.
Philly or Phil. Excuse me. My bad. Good morning from Sweden. Good night from Oregon.
Guten Nacht.
uh,
Right? That's not Swedish. I know.
so, yeah, that's German.
I know.
Yeah.
My last name's Weisenfels.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
keeping it in the house. Keeping it in the family.
Okay. All right. So yeah, unfortunately, Firestone Walker scaling down a little bit, and this actually started well before the start of the year, so it's not like anything new, any new development.
Right. I'm sure it just kind of was, like, all right, this is happening. Maybe we should do this before it's too late.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So, what else we got?
So we got one more beer story for you guys. Surprise, surprise. Not a gimmick so much as like this current state of economics, I guess. But
make beer with what you can.
Yeah, which I approve of. That's like the American spirit right there.
Right, absolutely.
Busch is making beer from corn because corn is what's available.
Because it's all that's left,
and it needs to be bought and used. So
yeah. It's not only what's available right now, but it's available in plenty because, well, they're not exactly making ethanol with it right now because no one's driving.
Right.
So yeah, the sale of corn and corn subsidies for fuel have gone out the window. I mean, there's a reason gas is less than $2 in Oregon already, and I've seen it as low as $1.69 or something like that in parts around town. But I've seen signs in Texas for like 89 cents.
Yeah.
So gas doesn't do that unless there's no demand for it, and right now there's no demand for it.
People aren't driving, and then you got to remember too, right before people stop driving, what was it? Oh Lord. Saudi Arabia pumped all that oil right into the market to sort of screw with prices and manipulate prices. And so we got this huge influx of supply right as demand dropped.
Right.
And this is kind of cool, so, I guess Anheuser-Busch, I don't know if they run this nonprofit or if they're just involved with it, but Farm Rescue.
Yeah, Farm Rescue. I believe it's a nonprofit. I don't think it's affiliated with Anheuser-Busch, if I did my reading properly. But they are an organization they've worked with before. They did work with them back in 2019 on a couple select projects. But basically, what Farm Rescue is, it's a nonprofit organization founded in 2005 that goes around during times of blight or whatever else and helps farmers out, helps farmers sell their crop and make it through the year kind of thing. Because if it only takes one bad season for a farm to go under. I mean, it's you're living on the razor's edge constantly. Oh, yeah. And this is one organization that helps them stay open, helps them stay afloat.
Yeah. Would you drink it?
Probably not.
Just because it's Busch Light?
Just because it's Busch Light. I can't stand the majority of domestics, and I'm not trying to come off as, haughty or, holier than thou or better than you or anything like that or hipstery.
It's amazing that it just
flat
comes
out
so
don't
naturally.
like them.
No, I'm kidding.
Right, I know. Actually a big reason why I don't like domestics is in high school, I worked in grocery. And I worked in grocery for a number of years.
The bottle returns, right?
The bottle returns. So in Oregon, there's a bottle deposit. So at the time, it was 5 cents. Now it's 10 cents. So every carbonated beverage that you buy, you pay a 5-cent deposit on. And then when you bring the cans back to the store and they crush them at the store, you get 5 cents back. And so if you buy a 12-pack, you pay 60 cents, and then you get 60 cents back when you return them. The problem is they have these automated machines in Oregon where people just stick their empties, whether it's glass or plastic or cans or whatever. Yeah. And those machines need cleaned because there's often like half full beers that go into there. And so think of a room dedicated in a grocery store that has nothing but like 6-month-old stale domestic beer smell that you cannot wash off your hands. And so I spent years smelling that smell.
Yeah.
I hate it. I can't get over it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
And Busch Light's probably the worst offender.
Right.
Well, unless you want to hit that story a little bit more, I think that takes us out of beer news, everybody. We did it. 8:22, 20 minutes on the dot.
Boom.
We are professionals.
Thank you so much for watching Talking Heads, episode 135. We'll catch you next week. I'm kidding. I think I'm kidding. Oh, did we lose Rhett? Oh,
no,
great.
did you?
We lost Rhett.
No.
You're frozen in a very awkward position.
Dang it, I am.
Wow.
Curses.
Wow, look at that. That's a great image.
This happened last time. I'm going to have to fix this.
Yep. You're going to have to borrow one of my webcams is what you're going to have to do.
Maybe I will have to. I think I just got to like take apart my camera and like resolder the connections to like try and fix it.
Yeah.
Because it's the same camera that you got.
Oh, yeah.
But, and it works great up until I broke it. So I think I just got to do some resoldering, but I just don't have the time. So.
Yep. Who does?
Anyway. Yeah, just let me know anytime that freezes and I will quickly and efficiently take care of that.
Yep.
So we want to hit these in order. I know we didn't really like vet a lot of these very well.
Yeah.
I just kind of threw up.
We'll kind of do them in order.
It seemed like a thin news week to me. So some of these are kind of, you know.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a thin news week. Kind of a week of
thin
tech
news week.
News. Not that it was a thin news week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you imagine us just walking right into that one?
Yeah. Nothing at all happened of note this week. No, it was a week of I'll say probably historic highs and historic lows for the US. I mean, we all watched on what was that, Saturday, SpaceX launching.
Oh, and, incredible.
Yeah.
Super inspiring.
I mean, I've watched a number of the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches and whatnot, and it's always a good time because when I was a kid growing up, I was a space junkie. I read everything I could possibly read about the shuttle program and space exploration and research and things like that. And then seeing an active space program again is kind of like reinvigorating for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw one of NASA's historic pads all of a sudden live again with astronauts in tow and or rather at the helm.
Yeah.
And launched up, docked with the ISS on Sunday. Really, really cool display.
Yeah.
And then
what's cool with that? Look, I know we haven't opened that story, but let's just hit it.
Yeah.
What's really cool about it as well is that, we saw sort of like the Dragon capsule's ability to auto dock before.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they did it with people in it, which is like, I don't know. It's just cool. It's like we knew that it could do it, but to just like solidify.
What's really funny is they manually docked this time just to prove that it could be manually docked.
Did they manually? Because I read it was auto docked.
No.
Oh, my bad.
No, the last 50 feet or something like that was completely manual. So yeah, it's
my bad. I missed
because they haven't had an opportunity to fly it manually before. It's all been automatic, and so they went, well, we need to prove that it works. So let's.
Oh right, because there's never been anybody inside. Yeah.
And
even I know some of the earlier like auto docking would get it really close, and then they'd like catch it with the arm of the space station and like bring it in and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting, and it's going to change kind of a lot of stuff with our space program, just because like we've been spending like, I don't know, like almost $100 million or something, maybe less, to get seats on the Soyuz rockets that the Russians launch. And so you send up 1 or 2 astronauts and you're looking at like 150 to 200 million dollars, whatever it is. And it's kind of unfortunate because it's like a pretty symbiotic relationship. And I guess like the relationship between like the Russian space program and NASA is like developed like really well over the last 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the Russian space program is already kind of like in decline because of, this big recession that I guess Russia's in. And now they're not going to be raking in that money every launch, but it sounds like they're going to be able to come up with a good compromise of switching off, allowing different astronauts up on their rockets and stuff like that. Kind of a general reciprocity type of agreement, which is neat. I just like seeing that level of cooperation, even though there is a lot of tension, between us on kind of the world stage.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that who it is, or how it is with just about every country? Though you're hostile with them if you need something, but you're gracious with you if you both need something. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of the way it goes with space travel. For some reason, space travel always brings us together.
Yeah, why not? It's super cool and it's super inspiring, and it's like the one time that like, you get up into space and it's not like you have like, your boss watching over you. I mean, they are on cameras and live feeds and all that type of stuff, but vital monitors and all that. But it's like you're up there with only these other people to count on and depend on, and it's like a whole other like level of like, unnationality, I guess. I mean, every single astronaut has said it. You get up there and they're like, oh yeah, there's no lines, no lines on the map,
Right.
Which is just super inspiring, and it's something that I don't think any of us will truly appreciate until we get to see it for ourselves. So
I agree.
Anyway, congratulations, SpaceX and NASA. Super cool.
Yep. Kildai says Bob and Doug picked a very good time to vacate the planet.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, they're just like, peace, we're out.
Right. Does SpaceX do it cheaper? I believe they do it significantly cheaper because they reuse the majority of their parts.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with SpaceX. In fact, SpaceX also launched a set of satellites into orbit today.
Yeah.
And so Starlink has another 60 satellites in orbit now. I watched that live literally about 20 minutes before the show started.
Yeah.
And
have you seen them overhead yet? Because even before this new salvo, you could see them go over. It was really interesting.
Oh yeah, because they're all in a line.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting. I would track when I would kind of track it like you would any other sort of like celestial event. You go outside and look up and you wait for it to happen. You're like, oh,
there's a comet. There's the North Star. Hey, look, Starlink.
A lot of people are they go out and look at it and they're like, oh man, when there's all of these things out there, is stargazing ever going to be the same? Which is kind of a sad like reality to sort of like consider, but I am willing to sacrifice that for. Plus, I don't think it'll be as
whatever
bad as
undoes the cable company monopolies in the U.S. I'm all for.
Right, exactly. No, I was like, thinking the exact same thing. I was like, we got to sacrifice for the greater good. Plus, it's not like it's not like the majority of like groundbreaking astronomy is done from the ground anymore. I mean, there has been some, which is impressive, but still.
Yeah, we still have the Arizona telescopes and Hawaii and all that jazz, but
yeah. But pretty cool. I'm excited for Starlink to become a thing. So where are we at? Where are we moving to on these stories?
Oh, let's see. Let's do the 5G.
All right. This one is just the fun one that I found.
Yeah.
Apparently there is a $350 USB stick that touts itself as able to repel 5G waves. Newsflash, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah. So this miracle USB stick, which will shield you from the COVID-causing 5G rays, turns out to be a 128 megabyte USB key. And that's it. No modifications, no anything else. But I will say their nomenclature was on point.
Yeah.
Sorry, as I finish pouring this beer here, I will tell you what it is in just a minute. Let's see. What did it say?
5G Bioshield.
Oh, here we go. The 5G Bioshield USB key, which claims to be a quantum holographic catalyzer technology for the balance and harmonization of the harmful effects of imbalanced electric radiation. End quote.
Dude, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You can purportedly boost the range by plugging it into a laptop or other device. The 5G Bioshield claims not to block Wi-Fi, though. Only 5G.
Only true 5G, even though wireless is also 5 gigahertz.
Yeah. So I got to admit, like, I don't feel bad for anybody that bought this, you know? But it is just a funny, like,
I'm really offended that you put my website up on display like this, Rhett. I mean, just.
Oh. You're welcome.
I had a good thing going.
Hey, my bad. My bad. Well, there's no rolling that one back, I guess.
Dang it. I am sorry.
Don't buy these if you see them online. I'm sure that the average craft computing viewer knows better.
Probably already knows this, right?
Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's interesting to see the ways that technology sort of preys on the like tech illiterate in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I kind of know that it's always been kind of a gag gift, but the DVD rewinder was one that always made me laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
By the way, the only reason this device is being investigated is because the UK Standards Office brought some in after, quote, the Glastonbury Town Council's 5G Advisory Committee recommended its use.
Okay. I'm going to try to not have a hot take about that. Well, there you go.
I'm assuming one of their founders is also the chairman on the Homeowners Association.
Yeah. It is crazy. You know, it's like, look, I know that there's always been like rumors out there that people have like bad reactions to like certain waves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always been the conspiracy theories for as long as I remember about people getting harassed with microwaves and things like that. You know, like I remember reading that was like one of the motivators of like some mass shooter was like the FBI was harassing him with microwaves, right?
Yeah.
Then there's people that like claim to have like physical reactions to like, you know,
Lucille
Wi-Fi.
Ball hearing CIA chatter in her teeth.
Right. Yeah. And all that sort of stuff. So like, look, you know, obviously these waves are like moving through us and doing all these things, but like if it were dangerous, we would have all known about it by now. Like we would all be suffering the effects. You know,
right.
This is just one of those things that people come up with and, you
doesn't cause cancer.
Right. And just like any other sort of, you know, like conspiracy theorist type thing, it's like I always get a kick out of those dudes on that documentary, Behind the Curve. Have you seen that one? It's the Flat Earth documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And these dudes are so smart because they invent these experiments. And they say, look, we've got this gyroscope and we know the Earth spins. They say it spins this fast. And if that's true, we will get 15% drift.
Yeah, we'll get a 15-degree drift over an hour, and lo and behold, an hour later, it's a 15-degree drift, and now they have to explain their way out of why it was 15 degrees off.
Yeah, so then they spend money building a bismuth box and all this sort of stuff. And there was another one where they're like, look, we're going to build these kind of platform. We're going to shine a laser through these holes, and they were doing it, and they're like, there's just no explanation for this. And it's like,
hold it up higher, and all of a sudden they could see the light. It's like, oh, yeah.
And if they would just let go of their kind of like bias about it, they would realize that they just proved that the Earth is round. It's the same thing with 5G. It's like if you stop to think about it.
Yeah, no, there were people are going, well, how did they know the Earth was round all those many years ago? On the time of year and based on the angle that the shadow was coming off of the monuments, off of true north, and so they could calculate the difference in the shadows based off their elevation, based off the angle of the shadow, based off the length of the shadow, and they were within like,
wasn't it like freaking Aristotle like invented the dang? I don't know who it was. I'm butchering it. Whatever. Live on Craft Computing. But still, anyway, don't buy 5G blocking USB sticks unless they have more than 120 megabytes of storage.
Right. At least get a 2 terabyte one. And the thing is, if they could actually block 5G, they'd be illegal per the FCC because they're interfering with the transmission of other signals.
Imagine that. Imagine how that works.
Yep. A couple of years ago, there was a guy arrested in Florida and fined something like $30,000 because he was tired of all the people using their cell phones on his commute. Yeah. And so he went out and bought a cell phone jammer and installed it in his car.
I remember this.
The FBI tracked him down because every day at rush hour, during at a certain position, they would find this black hole of radio silence and tracked him down, pulled him over, and arrested him.
Good. Crazy.
Don't do that. Just saying everything before 5G was still okay.
Yeah, that's the stretch of logic that always gets me. It's like, yo, where were you with 4G? Like when LTE was rolling out, dog.
5G causes riots, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So I don't want to talk about it too much, but yeah, that historic highs of SpaceX at the beginning of the week, and then historic lows of like revolts and all, or not revolts, that's the wrong word, I apologize. Protesting in all 50 states. Vigorous protesting, some of which turned to riots, which I do not agree with. Rioting is not the way to, civil disobedience is the way you do it. If you want to break curfew, break curfew. If you get arrested, that's fine. You're still voicing your opinion and you accept the consequences that come. If you break into a JCPenney to steal a bunch of shoes, you've just broken into a JCPenney. You're not proving anything. So yeah, please protest, demonstrate. I support it. In fact, in the very top of the video description, so I don't get demonetized, there's a link to go donate to some bond or bail funds.
Nice.
So there's bail funds for all 50 states. Go donate to one.
Yeah.
Because that's how you support protesters, and that's how you support protesters who are legitimately getting, or being arrested for protesting.
So. And beyond that too, there's a lot of people that are getting arrested despite breaking few laws or no laws. I mean, there are journalists that are being arrested.
Attacked.
Yeah,
and that's just outrageous.
Oh, dude, it is completely wild out there. And then in Salem, like, I don't know how much you follow the news and stuff, but there is just like a complete dichotomy in the way that the police are treating one group of protesters versus another. I mean, I
saw your tweets last night, and I fully agree with them.
Yeah, we don't have to dive into it, but it's just unreasonable. I mean, I can't understand a world where somebody thought that was a good idea in the age of cell phones, that somebody thought it was a good idea to even try and pull that. So, it's just a crazy world out there. Yeah. The bail funds are a really cool way. I've donated to the Portland Bail Fund, and apparently the money goes to use very quickly, and which is really cool. I mean, cause I was reading stories about journalists and stuff that were getting busted, not Mirandized, which is just like horrible. And then the I think of the one I was reading about in particular was the I guess it was the Minnesota Bail Fund, and they were on the phone within hours and managed to get this guy's bail paid real quick. And even though they held him longer than they should, he was out the next day and free to go about his life. So it does a lot of good and allows people to protest without fear of being unjustly detained for well beyond reasonable means. So
yes, there have been some horrific stories of people being held for way too long, people having their diabetic medication taken away, which is illegal, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the one that I support. I fully support protests. I abhor violence of any kind. I don't care what side starts it. If you started it, you're wrong. And I think that's all there is to it. But I do support the protests. I do support the movement behind it. I absolutely support it.
Oh heck yeah.
So
Yeah, it's long overdue, and it's we're living through the perfect storm, the perfect kind of mixing of ingredients to get like not riots. Dang it, I keep doing that because I don't want to do that, but getting
exactly.
but I mean, it is the perfect storm for riots, but it is also the perfect storm to get protests that are this vigorous, this enduring, this intense. I mean, we're going into like what, day 6 or so.
For my entire lifetime, there's been a thought that my generation will never protest anything because we're too comfortable in our lives, and there is really something to that. All of a sudden, half of us have been laid off, and we're not all that comfortable anymore.
No.
And so now we can start protesting some actual issues, and I don't have to be at work tomorrow. It's those kinds of things where we're on day 6 because guess what? Monday through Friday doesn't exist for a lot of these people anymore, or they're not working weekends, or they're not working nights, or anything like that. So
when I knew how real
we got
this was,
nothing but time. You froze again.
Dang it! When I knew how real this was, though, it was going into Monday night, and freaking all of them got bigger than the weekend.
Yep.
I was just like, oh my God, like this is beyond like I think what I thought it was going to be, what anybody thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Hey, and hats off to all the organizers and all of the people that are encouraging peaceful demonstrations and are putting together really awesome
the demonstration in Portland on Burnside Bridge last night. That was incredible.
So awesome to see the pictures of that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I guess, even Salem had a pretty cool protest on Friday night that I devolved into like singing songs and because it was a candlelight vigil originally, and it really turned out to be like a really peaceful, like beautiful event, which was awesome.
Nice.
And then the next night it got a little bit more intense, I think. But, but it only takes like one person to like really ruin it for everybody. And that's what I heard kind of happen in Salem. But if you guys are going out to these rallies and things like that, stay safe,
be safe,
and encourage people to not throw rocks at cops and stuff. Whatever your feelings on that may be, it just exacerbates the situation and puts people in danger. I mean, go out there, block traffic, go out there and disrupt daily life. That's super awesome. Donate money if you can afford to. I mean, times are tight, but the money is kind of the big thing. It goes a long ways to propelling the movement to have sort of an endurance, a sort of longevity that other movements just don't ever get. So check those out.
Yep. We did get a donation. So actually a couple donations. Big Spoon, $2. In Voyager, Neelix was 34 and Kess was 2. Gross. I agree. And then Phil. I'm just gonna call you Phil. I hope that's okay. Phil. Do you guys think 5G is less harmful than older generations? 5G is not harmful. Neither were older generations. 5G less wattage, but more transmitters. Older generations, fewer transmitters, higher wattage. Do you know how powerful AM radio is? And do you know how penetrating AM radio is? The higher the frequency, the less penetration power you have. And the more wattage it takes to actually penetrate objects. AM radio... They broadcast at 100,000 watts, and AM radio goes through anything, and I mean anything. You can get AM reception inside of an elevator shaft. Versus 5G, it can barely penetrate a piece of paper, and I'm not kidding. So it's not harmful. It's never been harmful. If you want to be exposed to every single frequency that we've ever recorded, step outside. There's a big yellow ball in the sky that broadcasts them all at more power than we can fathom.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, What's interesting is you got
And that gives
what
you
I think,
cancer, but that's the UV.
what I think a lot of people forget is that radio waves and and 5G waves, which are radio waves, they exist on the same spectrum that X-rays exist on, and gamma rays exist on. And obviously, like, UV is harmful, and we can feel its effects with sunburns and things like that. But like UV is more powerful than 5G. That's why we feel its effects that way. UV can penetrate our atmosphere, where I'm pretty well. Does 5G penetrate our atmosphere? Or is it one of those that bounces off? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm not a freaking engineer. Okay. But there are radio waves and light waves and electromagnetic waves, the same thing. They bounce off the atmosphere, and that's how you get like shortwave radios work. You can bounce them off the stratosphere and onto the other side of the planet, all sorts of stuff like that. That's why there are rays that come off the sun that don't kill us. I think like the ozone layer, for example, absorbs a lot of the UV spectrum, which is why we don't just go outside and get sunburns constantly. I mean, we do, but but not nearly as bad as it could be. So, once you start getting up into that spectrum, you start getting to danger.
Right. For those in the chat who are arguing the merits of the protest, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Number one, you're not going to win any hearts and minds here. You can either agree with it or disagree with it. But the accountability questions, the all this that's going on, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Okay. You're arguing with people on the internet who are faceless and nameless.
Yeah.
Stop. And for those who brought up, well, all four were fired the next day. Is that not accountability? I'll say this. It's happened before. It's happened many, many times. And 4 of them were fired. 1 was brought up on charges. Guess what? It took 10 days of protest for the other 3 to be brought up on charges.
Yeah. And that's what the protests are for.
There's accountability. Yeah. And how many times has there not been accountability? And I'll stop there.
Yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox. But if you're in chat and you're arguing it, stop. Stop it.
I mean, you certainly
stop it.
Nobody's changing any minds. So
you're not going to change minds in a YouTube chat.
Yeah, especially YouTube. No offense to YouTube, but good Lord.
Right.
But yeah. But dude, look at that autofocus on my phone. That's legit, man. Yeah. Yeah. Yours is like, yeah. What can I say? Yeah, I think that they did something, like Google did something to their, like, camera algorithm. I don't know what the right term is. They did something to their camera app, because I started noticing that there was some changes, and in some ways they're really irritating with the way that it autofocuses and does all that sort of stuff. But there's oh, dude, the anti-protesters are coming after you.
There we go.
I can hear Jeff.
There we go.
Why don't you talk?
I had RTX voice on, and I think it just died. Or apparently I've been muted in chat because I was talking about the protest. Maybe my mods got a little vitriolic.
Yeah, they're like, this is just too much. We don't believe in stances.
That's
hey,
funny.
$2 donation from Big Spoon. Jeff is muted.
Not anymore. Dang it.
Hey, you guys know the rules. When Jeff's muted, y'all take a drink.
And red is frozen.
What? Jesus. Well, at least it's a handsome image this time.
That's right. It's one of the better ones we've had.
Dude, we're just getting freaking DDoS attacked here. Craft Studios is under attack.
Oh man. Anyway, probably one of the funniest things to come out of this weekend. I'll just move right into this one, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love the K-pop
love
community. I love that community.
These dudes
much.
have become they've always been awesome, but they've like become savage this weekend, dude.
Yes. This is so great. So the K-pop community, the Kpop Stands, have taken to blotting out any offensive hashtags by retweeting K-pop with the same hashtags. And so if you search for, if you're looking for that echo chamber of white supremacy, all you're going to find is Korean K-pop singers.
I love it.
Which is so freaking great.
So much. They came out hardcore this weekend, and then today was even more impressive. I remember I saw this story this morning, and I just started searching the hashtags, and oh my God, it is so, it's just so heartwarming and inspiring.
Yeah, it was and like 15 to 1. But when I was looking at it.
I mean, K-pop is, I'm pretty sure, like the second most, popular kind of like music. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like the second most profitable like music economy in the world is like,
yeah, something like that.
The K-pop thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Second in the country only to the StarCraft theme song.
Yeah.
This was so great. I love this as a form of protest and as a form of blotting out offensive language is retweeting something as funny as this and it's great. So they started out by basically blanketing Twitter feeds of police departments across the country, and then on Tuesday it was supposed to be Blackout Tuesday. So no social media and companies, blacking out for observation. By the way, Washington Redskins and Atlanta Braves, you could have just sat that one out.
I know. I love to see like people's hearts are in the right places, but like, dude, you've been at the top of this battle for a long time. People have been coming after you.
Right. Yeah.
And that's such a hard one, but like, I mean, Redskins is such a bad name. What it's from. And it's like, I love that they come out and support, but like, just like a little bit more awareness, just a hair, like a PR department. That's what they're for, like not just one guy in charge of your social media, but like a whole PR department. And then, have them go through the whole, commission thing and don't do anything stupid because it's kind of tone deaf.
Yeah. But anyway, then Wednesday rolled around, and Wednesday was basically going to be the white supremacist retaliation for Blackout Tuesday. And instead we got K-pop Wednesday, and that is okay by me.
Totally cool. Totally cool. And if you guys want a kind of a really fun rundown on K-pop, if you're unfamiliar with it, there is, I think it's Vox. They have like a little mini series on Netflix called Explained. And it's like one of my favorite shows ever because it's like just 20-minute little 20-minute little educational documentaries.
It's how it's made, but documentary form.
Yeah. And they focus on like, there's lots of stuff. There's, there's an episode on weed. There's
First, the Gringo Bops are pushed through the schleem.
Yeah, exactly. Is it actually Gringo Bops? No, you're killing me because I don't think that's the exact quote.
I know it's not the right quote, but
first you need some schleem.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Rick and Morty, you can make up any word you want. Schleem is the best though.
And then he spits on it and rubs it. The schleem is then repurposed for later batches.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. Okay. The flarp zone is for flarping and unflarping only. anyway, what was I saying? Anyway, they make little docuseries about stuff. They got one on weed. They got one on, feminism. They got one on, God, I'm not winning anybody over here. But anyway, they got one on K-pop, and it is a really good, they got one on like sexual fetishes. If you want to learn about like why people, tick the way they do.
Well,
but
there
the
you
K-pop
go.
one is very interesting because it's something that I knew very little about. It's like I knew about the scene. I respected the scene because like, why not? But seeing sort of just how ingrained it is into the culture and how it's like really spread overseas, super interesting. And they do a great job. It's 20 minutes long. Check it out on Netflix.
That is one of your least flattering phrases, right?
I know. Why do I make faces? All right. From now on, I'm just going deadpan.
Yeah.
Don't at me. All right. So
sorry,
K-pop.
sorry. You said the florping zone is for florping, not florping. All I got in my head was the airplane bit. The white zone is for unloading and loading of passengers. There is no parking in the red zone. Janet, there's always been parking in the red zone. The white zone is.
That movie's so ahead of its time.
It's so good.
Oh.
What else we got? Let's move on.
Yes. All right. Next one. This is kind of interesting because I only heard about it on the radio this morning when I was driving to work. But Google is facing a $5 billion lawsuit. Oh, good Lord, they hate ad blockers. They're facing a $5 billion lawsuit over privacy issues. The issue being that apparently the lawsuit alleges that they are collecting data despite using incognito mode.
Yeah.
Now you and I know that, when you go to incognito mode, it flat out says like you may still be tracked.
Right.
This does not make you invisible.
I don't think this is going to win. I don't think it's going to go very far because the purpose of incognito mode is to hide your regular browsing history, cookies, etc. from sites that you visit, and to not record data locally on your computer. However, if I enter incognito mode and then log into a service, guess what? I've still logged into that service, and I'm still bound by whatever cookies they're putting in the temporary session.
Yeah.
And so, and they say that flat out when you open an incognito browser.
So you might still be tracked.
Right. In fact, let me open one right now. You've gone incognito. Now you can browse privately, and other people who use this device will not see your activity. However, downloads and bookmarks will be saved. Chrome won't save the following information: your browsing history, cookies, and site data, and information entered in the following forms. That's Chrome, as in the local installation of Chrome. It's not going to save your history. However, if you create a bookmark or you download something, that's obviously saved. Your activity might still be visible to websites you visit, your employer or school, or your internet service provider, because you are not blocking anything from them. This is a local block only. And it says it right there in black and white, or gray and white, more accurately.
Yeah.
But I don't see this one going anywhere. Just personally. Are you trying to get another freeze frame?
Yeah, I know I was. Yeah, a little bit. But like one that looks cooler. Because some of the other ones have made me look like such a dork. I think this is kind of a largely symbolic gesture. And I know that the attorneys and everybody that's involved with it, what I heard on the radio this morning was that they are looking to make it a class action suit, which might give it a little bit more tread. It
just means it'll have to be heard.
Yeah.
But beyond that, but first it's got to get class action status.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it'll even make it that far.
But they're really, really looking at California's privacy laws, which the legal experts on freaking OPB this morning were saying that California's laws may give it traction. And when I heard that, I was thinking that it might have the same effect on privacy, much the same way that like Europe's privacy laws kind of impacted our internet usage here.
Yeah, your right to be forgotten, your Google takeouts,
right,
etc. Right.
Most international sort of, websites and things like that, they decided to just adhere to the European standard all across the board because it was easier and cheaper.
Right. Sorry, I was catching up on some comments, and Civil says K-pop interest is surging in the Southeast right now.
Yes. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Perfect.
Somebody get this man a pizza.
Yeah.
Or person, or
Yeah.
female, or whatever. God, I'm the worst. Anyway, I just assume you're watching TechTube. You're a male. That's super wrong of me.
We
It's
have at least
statistically
two girls.
accurate.
We have at least 2 girls watching right now.
I
They're both
know.
in
I
chat.
know.
Yeah. So you are
Thank
so
you
bigoted,
for-
Rhett.
I'm pretty much the worst. But look, it's all about acknowledging my shortcomings and trying to be better. And
Right.
that's what I'm going to do. So thank you. God dang it. Where were we?
Incognito mode when you watch videos of
Incognito mode.
Casanelix.
Okay. So what I was thinking was this lawsuit largely symbolic, maybe to push the rest of the 49 United States closer towards California's privacy laws, which I am 100% on board with. Look, this is the week of gestures, big and small. I'm for this. Whatever. Let the legal experts sort it out. Let the judges sort it out. It's interesting. Google's got money to burn. $5 billion, whatever. It'll be 10 years until anybody sees a dime anyway. It's like the BP thing, I think I was 18 when that class action lawsuit came along that Arco was incorrectly charging people's debit cards. And I literally got my checks last summer. So, that was 11, 12 years. So, this will be a long time until anybody sees a dime. But as symbolic gestures go, I'm all for it. Let's see where the pieces lie. If it means more privacy for people when using the web, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 100% for privacy. Hi, Becky.
On Discord, or she
on the Discord? Yeah. Civil says we have Becky, the team mom, and so I said hi, mom, and she goes hi. Yeah, Becky's our resident team mom over on the Discord. Keeps us all hydrated, shall we say. But I am all for online privacy, but at the same time, this is gonna sound not so friendly to some people. I'm also not necessarily opposed to online profile building for advertising companies.
Yeah. No, and you're not wrong.
Right. It's I disagree with how widespread it is, but at the same time, it's kind of hard not to be widespread.
Right.
With it's difficult because I'm also a privacy advocate. I do advocate that your online privacy should be hidden and whatnot. But I also rely on so many of these services. I rely on Google for everyday, literally my everyday life revolves around a lot of the Google ecosystem. Yeah. I got online one day, and if you go to Google Maps and click on history, don't do that. It'll freak you the hell out.
Oh, Jesus, I know. I do this all the time in my job.
Right. Because they have literally everywhere you have ever been with whatever cell phone you've ever had. And I have history
build
with
that
Google.
profile, baby.
Right. I have history with Google dating back to like 2009.
Yeah.
And of like where I was at, what I was doing. I went to a comedy show about a little over a year ago, and it had the road that I drove in on. It had the road that I drove out on. It also knew that I stopped at 7-Eleven for 7 minutes on the way home.
Love it. I love it.
And that's a profile that Google has of me. And guess what? I probably saw a couple 7-Eleven ads there along the way because they said, hey, we can deliver ads for 7-Eleven to Google Maps to people who frequent 7-Eleven to get them to stop more often.
Right.
And that is a sales pitch of why Google Maps as a service is free. And so I defend privacy, but at the same time, otherwise I'd be paying for the service anyway.
Yeah.
And
that's that. God, dude, that gets into a whole mess of beans about this whole like COVID thing. Maybe we shouldn't go there, but like, I'll briefly mention the idea that a lot of people are like resistant against is contact tracing, which is like one of public health's like #1 tools of containing infectious diseases. It is tracing back who were you in contact with, when were you in contact with them, and then contacting them and letting them know you have been in contact with somebody with an infectious disease. We'd encourage you to self-isolate.
Right.
And
or get tested.
Right. Yeah. And so many people are like, I'm just not sure about that. Give my privacy. And it's like, NPR did a story a couple years ago where they bought cell phone tracking data. And it is, God, it is so underplayed how the way they sell it. They're like, well, they can only capture it once an hour, but then all of these services are capturing it once an hour at varying degrees. May as well be real life tracking data.
Yeah. It may as well be an ankle bracelet.
May as well be. Absolutely. And so it's like you're carrying this device in your pocket, and I guarantee you the people that are most upset about contact tracing carry this dang thing in their pocket every single place they go and don't even mind. And so,
and post on Facebook how opposed they are to this tracker.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Jesus. God, don't even get me started on that. Oh my God. Oh geez. No, I won't go there. But
I love the Facebook groups for Flat Earth and 5G, let me tell you.
Oh God, I love the Facebook groups for everything, man. They're the worst and the best simultaneously.
Right.
But where I was going with this was I personally kind of like Google having this stuff on me because it really helps me in a lot of ways. Now, I am a privacy advocate as well. I have opted out of some of this privacy in order to get more streamlined service. What I think I might be more on board with is if a person were able to sort of profit a little bit more than just convenience off of their personal data being exploited for things like this. Maybe, I don't know, like money might not necessarily make sense, and we talked about this before with like Tesla. I think collecting data, it's like you could use Tesla points to like, I don't know,
supercharge for an hour.
Right. Yeah. Or something like that. And it's like, that's a cool, interesting way of sort of benefiting off of your personal data. Is it a perfect solution? No, I think it falls well short, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think if we keep pushing people that way, we're going to mind less and less having our data sort of harvested because we too stand to profit from it. I stand to profit from it just in terms of convenience. And look, I fully acknowledge that's kind of like a cop out in so many ways, but it's, the other thing that they could do to win me over is stop sending me ads for shit I already bought. Like when I'm going to buy something, and I know that I'm not necessarily the majority in this.
I bought,
because this is how,
I'm trying to think of the last thing that I bought that was like a one-off item.
Yeah. I just bought baby bottles. You know what I'm not going to buy again? Baby bottles. You know why? Right. Because I got enough baby bottles. You know what I've been seeing ads for all day? Baby bottles. It ain't happening. Stop sending me stuff. Send me other baby related stuff that I never knew I needed. That's how ads work.
A brake kit for my truck. I bought brakes for my truck. Okay. You know what I'm not going to buy again for another 7 years? Brakes for a 2013 Nissan Frontier. You know what I could stop seeing ads for? Brakes for a 2013 Nissan Frontier. Amazon.
What about brakes for the Z car?
I'm good.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Right.
And that's the big problem. It's like you Google something. You and I are the same way. And I think many of our viewers are probably the same way. You start searching for something that you want to buy. You do the research of what's most cost effective versus what you need, and you buy it.
Yeah.
Okay. We are the generation that does not watch commercials, for God's sake.
Yep.
I've got Dish Anywhere in my living room. I freaking can't stand watching it anymore because you know what cable TV has figured out their demographic is anymore? 80-year-olds. All the commercials are for denture cream and freaking ED medication and like whatever the heck else about your ancient age. Oh my God. It's like let's just play commercials for 80 year. I'm watching Cartoon Network for God's sake. And they're like, by the way, have you seen all this old stuff? AARP's there for you, and they want you got all that insurance.
Do you have diabetes?
Oh my God, yeah. I want my money and I want it now. Okay. Nobody under 35 is using JG Wentworth. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I'm just painting with a broad brush.
I don't have a structured settlement, but I'd still like my money now, please. Can you do anything for me?
Yeah, you know who else doesn't have mesothelioma anymore? Because they all died already, okay? They got mesothelioma from asbestos exposure. They're all gone. We don't need our settlements anymore. No, I'm just kidding. That's horrible. I'm a bad person. But also, like, that's the type of people that cable plays ads to. And I feel like the ad game of Google and all these other companies is so antiquated. Send me ads for things I never knew I needed, and I would spend more money. I mean, I don't know. Is that selfish to ask? Like, take the research out of my hands, for God's sake.
Maybe it's selfish.
I mean, Google can already sort of predict where I'm going, when I'm going there. They can predict what I might want to listen to at a given time.
They're really good at predicting what I want to listen to.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of uncanny,
even if I've never heard it before.
It's even better. 2 years ago, the YouTube algorithm was the best. It was so awesome for finding new stuff and interesting stuff.
And
then all of a sudden they're like,
I'll agree.
And I won't say that it's horrible anymore because I still find new and interesting stuff, but I swear it really filters down to like a couple things, and it's like, I've already heard this, I've already seen this. Take me to something new, and you know it is new in the sense that like, okay, it took me there a month ago, but it's like I want fresh, I want new all the time. Like I used to find all of my new music from YouTube's algorithm. It was so good 2 years ago. But anyway, I don't know. That's the cost of internet privacy. Let's see where this lawsuit goes. Again, this is the week. This is the time of gestures, and this is a gesture, and it might lead to something. It may not. But also, no buildings were set on fire. So there you go.
Yep. Which is good because we both live in our state's capital and we're both about the same distance from that state capital.
I know. It's kind of
luckily I live up the hill and most people don't want to walk.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I live just far enough off the beaten path too. There's no walking path to my house.
And your hill is kind of gnarly too. That's right.
It is a little bit. We can hear some action every once in a while, but it's got to be in the right place. But otherwise, you know, we're kind of removed from the whole thing. But okay, here's a dumb story, but I included it and Jeff didn't take it out. So there is a photo. I don't know where this came from. Apparently, God, where does it come? I don't know. It's some sort of like wallpaper photo that's been circulating around. But anyway, apparently it is coaxed some sort of like
crash.
Yeah, and it's because it's kind of trying to push your phone's color display to lengths that it can't normally go to.
Right. So here is the picture in question, and I hope my computer doesn't crash by displaying it.
God, wouldn't that be savage?
But if you get this picture, the advice is to not open it or set it as a wallpaper, even though it's kind of pretty. It's something that I might set as a wallpaper. But
it looks gorgeous. It's
a
really good wallpaper.
It's a gorgeous photo. But apparently, some phones, when you set it as a wallpaper, are just crashing. And Google hasn't figured out why yet. Now, there is some speculation as to why the phone may be crashing. And the speculation is that as phones get more advanced and their cameras get more advanced, I put that in quotes, that they're having to do more interpretation of color space for photos than they ever have before. Whereas we're used to getting highly compressed JPEGs on phones. All of a sudden, we're getting phones that might even be able to shoot in RAW, and we're getting high-end HDR photos and a bunch of other things. All of a sudden, we're processing various different color spaces from whatever color camera manufacturer happens to be in your phone, or whatever algorithm you send your photo processing through. And so your color space might be wildly different photo to photo. And apparently something about this particular picture is causing the phones to bug out when it's trying to interpret that color space. So it might be the number of colors that are in this picture. It might be the dynamic range. It might just be the flat out number of colors. But something about this picture is causing phones to literally S the bed.
Which is crazy to me. Like, what a weird problem to have in 2020. But dang,
trust me, if that was the only problem with 2020, I would be fine.
I know. I'd trade this for mortar hornets for sure. Oh well, can't do that though. What a weird problem though. I saw the picture and my first instinct was to set it as wallpaper on my phone. I won't because I'm cheap as hell. My phone's been having all sorts of problems for years now, but I plan on freaking using this thing to the grave. It's almost 4 years old. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Jeff's super interested in something, probably the chat.
A little bit of the chat. Patrick says, loved the NX filter video, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. You've been popping out some great videos.
I'm rather proud of them. Yeah, just doing my thing.
Just doing the old craft computing thing. Y'all know that old craft computing over there. They go ahead and they make all good informational videos. You know what I'm saying?
Also, do you have diabetes?
Y'all know that diabetes. Y'all got that diabetes?
Diabetes.
Kind of a small story, but weird. It was just a weird one, you know.
A little bit.
Not many pictures bricking phones these days.
Right. One last story before we open it up to whatever. And that is that Sony, under the events of this last weekend, has decided to postpone their PlayStation 5 announcement that was originally scheduled for tomorrow. While we understand gamers worldwide are excited to see PS5 games, we feel that right now is not a time. Right now is a time for celebration, and for now, we want to stand back and allow more important voices to be heard. So that is
hard
the
decision.
From Sony.
100%, no doubt, hard decision.
Right.
But when you got Nickelodeon shutting down for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, like, you got to step your PR game up a little bit. Like, I think it's just a smart move. Like, there are far more important things going on than PS5 games. I hate to say it because I love video games. I really do.
Right.
But again, we are the generation that they said would do nothing because of video games, because of movies, because of music at our fingertips or whatever. That is not true. And Sony is helping us show them that. Kudos to them. Hats off. Not an easy decision. It's a decision that might kick them in the money bucket a little bit.
I don't think so, because this was just the announcement. They can make the announcement at any time.
And I don't mean significantly, you know, but I mean like...
Oh, they had the event planned.
Right, so. Exactly. And you got all sorts of things that revolve around that sort of stuff. You know, when you're looking at your value on Wall Street, it's based on your stability. And if you want to pull the rug out of stuff 4 days in advance, that alters your stability and it alters your stock price. I'm not saying that Sony's going to disappear overnight. That just ain't going to happen, especially from something like this, and especially from something this positive, as far as I'm concerned. You know, kudos to them, and they are not alone, and nor should they be. I mean, what a cool way to lend your economic weight to voices that would otherwise go unheard. Kudos
Right.
to Sony.
Yeah. I thought it was a great gesture, and I think it's the right move.
Yeah.
This is a weird time.
Super
I've been seeing the memes going around right now. What's on your June apocalypse bingo? Because it's been a new thing every month.
Dude, and we'd be wrong.
Right.
Oh, God, isn't that crazy, though? Doesn't matter how inventive you are.
Australia's going, can we just set fire to everything again? We were cool with that.
Yeah, seriously. Like, that was a lot easier to stomach,
Right.
Because we're so far away. Just kidding. That's horrible. But yeah, man, that was something that's like, well, at least, maybe I can drive my car less. Maybe I can eat less meat. Maybe I can turn off the lights, or I don't know what you could do. Maybe I can opt into my power company's green initiative. Maybe I can buy solar panels. That's something you could do to kind of help Australia out a little bit. Now it's just like, what do we do? I guess we postpone our big events and we do all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's not as easy as a solution as one might hope. We did skip over another story. Do you want to just skip that one? Yeah. I thought it was an interesting one. All right. How dare you?
Which one?
I found that one.
You posted it after I had already started done the stream, because I went back and you had a title in there. You didn't have a link. There was no link.
I blame that on Google.
There was no link yet.
The
truth. I saw the title.
Fine. We can ignore it if you want.
Tell you what, no, let's do it. I got it. Go.
All right.
Floor is yours.
Google pulls the remove China apps from the Play Store. The story is, as the headline states, India was using a very popular app. Apparently it garnered 5 million downloads in a matter of like a couple weeks at most. And it did exactly as it says.
It was a Chinese application uninstaller.
Yeah. There are a lot of privacy concerns with Chinese apps, TikTok being among the most prevalent. And India was like, we're just done with these guys. And India is obviously next door neighbors with China. They're the second most populous country after China. So there's a little bit of tension there. And they had this app and they said, we're just done dealing with all of these Chinese made apps. And it was super popular. And Google said, no, we're taking it off. And they did. The app is no longer available on Google Play, which is kind of a bummer because, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to be able to control what sorts of apps you see on the Google Play Store, why can't you do that?
Right.
I don't know. It's a weird time. I don't know what the right answer there is, but it seems as time goes on, more and more tech giants, more and more economic heavyweights are sort of just letting China dictate how the playing field goes. And you can't blame them if, I sit here and complain about how all my government and economy sees me as is dollar signs. Well, there's about 750,000 or 750,000,
billion,
2/3 of a million, whatever. Anyway, there's a lot more people in China than there is in the United States or North America in general. And that's a lot more dollar signs when you think about it that way. To be fair, there's a lot more talent over there. There's a lot more things like that just because of the sheer number. So blocking off all those apps, I don't know, probably not very economically friendly to Google, but at the same time, you're looking at a country with numerous human rights violations. Who's the United States to talk? I don't know. However, they are sort of in the midst of a genocide. So maybe you don't want to buy their apps or see their apps or download their apps. And if they're having privacy concerns, especially like TikTok, which is like a global phenomenon, for God's sake, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but there you go.
Yep.
Maybe I'm being too something about it.
No, I don't think so. And in fact, over the last couple of days, we've seen some hypocrisy from a number of companies that bowed down to China's demands over various things over the last year, and all of a sudden came out in support of of the movements in the United States. You know,
Yeah.
we've got Blizzard, probably the most famous of, you know, sorry, a guy on our live stream supported the Free Hong Kong movement. We just can't have that kind of crap, so we've, you know, banned him for life. And literally it was over a human rights violation that he was protesting. And all of a sudden Blizzard is throwing up a Black Tuesday thing. You know, we stand with the protesters in the United States, and we've always felt, you know, racism is no part in our company. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, bullshit. You said exactly the opposite thing 6 months ago.
Well, they get
Not
ready to
even
take it in
6
the wallet.
months ago.
And that's the big problem is like Blizzard, especially. You look at, you know, what do they got? StarCraft, and is it just StarCraft over there? I don't know, it's super popular at this juncture, but
Overwatch is a Blizzard product.
Overwatch, StarCraft. I mean, esports.
Heroes of the Storm, I believe, is a
freaking
is a
huge.
Blizzard product.
Heroes of the Storm sucks. Anyway,
I agree.
Sorry, dude. You know, Blizzard had this little thing called Dota for a little bit, and then I don't know how Valve got their hands on it, but Valve got Dota 2. I've been a Dota 2 player for, you know, years and years now. Well, not now. I gave up playing because, Jesus Christ, I can't do competitive gaming anymore.
Well, I saw your machine. It couldn't hold up anyway.
You shut your mouth. I could play Dota 2 on anything.
That's the deal.
It was the Source
you
Engine, you son of a gun.
You can play Dota 2 on anything. It was about the only thing you could play anymore.
I remember when I upgraded my PC, I was like, oh, dang, it looks this good. But, you know, but yeah, you know, that was my big thing is like, I remember playing Dota 2 and one of my, not one of my, but there, you know, there was a character in that game called Skeleton King, and he was a skeleton. He was a skeleton that wielded a big sword and he'd roll around and hit people to death. And in China, it is illegal to show skeletons like that, I guess. Or maybe not illegal is not the right word, but you can't show
improper
skeletons
maybe
like that.
Yeah,
and that's I think ultimately what it boiled down to. And so they changed him. They took him out of the game, and then they brought him back in this big release, Wraith King, and now he's like a ghost. You know, he looks like the asshole in Return of the King. You know, who and Aragorn is like, "You will suffer me," or whatever he says. You know, like that dumb line, and then the ghost is like, "Well, we were honored the pledge we made to your ancestors 1 billion years ago." He looks like that asshole. Anyway, like what a small change to make, but yet they like wrapped it into this big deal. They removed the character, then they brought him back in this big release event and did all this. And it was literally because China was blocking their entire game if they weren't going to comply.
Yep.
What a bully move to make. Why would you comply with bullies? I don't know. That's where I fall on the issue.
Yeah. And someone brought up Blizzard, and yeah, I always liked Blizzard, at least until they were bought out by Activision and merged with them. And all of a sudden it's nothing but corporate BS at every turn. And they're sitting on the same 3 IPs that they always have been.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, the only things they were ever good at Blizzard wise was Diablo, Warcraft, and StarCraft. And all of a sudden Diablo is a mobile paywalled app, and World of Warcraft, you know, they released a classic version which took no effort at all, and you know, all the crap going on with everything. It's just,
I mean, don't you guys have phones?
Yeah,
don't you guys have phones? You know, it was interesting because
no, we're PC gamers over here. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, dude, Diablo fans don't want a mobile game; they want a PC game. That's what they play Diablo for.
Your Diablo and StarCraft and Warcraft loving fans paid money to come to an event to see Diablo 4, and you introduced a mobile game with in-app purchases, and you're wondering why they were upset. Pissed. Don't you guys have phones? Yeah, we all have phones. We don't want to freaking play that game on them.
Yeah. It's interesting because I had Matt Ullman and Matt Householder on my game dev podcast. And Matt Ullman is the composer for the Diablo series. Yeah. And Matt Householder was like one of the senior sort of, I guess, producers of Blizzard at the time, especially during Diablo. And it was super interesting. I went to their event at Portland Retro Gaming Expo and heard them talk, and then I had them on my podcast, and it was just like the way they unpacked Blizzard back in the day was super interesting. And they said like politics overtook Blizzard, like even kind of by the early, by late 90s, early 2000s, and it just became too corporate for anybody to tolerate. It was fascinating to hear them talk about it at length. I mean, if you guys are interested in hearing that, I think I have like I have probably most of their speaking event at Portland Retro Gaming Expo on my podcast. I mean, they just kind of devolve into sharing personal stories and anecdotes and all this sort of stuff about.
Well, that's what we do on this show.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting because it's stories that are like almost, 20 years old or whatever. It's like, oh, okay. Like that's fun. But like, also tell us what else we want to know. I'm being disingenuous. It's really cool, but there was a lot of reminiscing and sort of remembering the good old days, if you will. Two super, really awesome, chill dudes. So that's somewhere on my podcast feed for Game Dev's Quest, if you guys are interested.
Links down in the description below.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I think it's episode 123 or 124, one of those.
I passed you? When did I pass you?
What?
I passed you a number of episodes. I'm at 135.
Yeah, me and Taylor haven't released an episode since, well, we just released an episode, but I think we're only at like episode like 126 or 127. Yeah, we haven't.
Okay.
We podcasted in October at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. We have 3 episodes that have yet to be released. We're struggling to like find a way to kind of re-coordinate. Taylor bought a house and lost a lot of time. I had a kid and lost a lot of time. We just can't get together, and we have so many guests and people that are involved in our community that want to help out and want episodes to continue and do all this, but we're trying to figure out like what does the future of Game Dev's Quest look like, because weekly content is great, but weekly recording sessions are just not necessarily like they're just not possible at the moment. So it's been probably more than 6 months since we've recorded an episode, but we still are active.
Fun
on
fact,
Twitter.
I was
and
their
on
first
Discord
guest.
And all that. Were you might have been, I don't know, but you were definitely close.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's pretty much how me and Jeff met.
I wasn't even craft computing at the time. I was just a VR guy.
Yeah, it was John, obviously, Hops and Brews. I used to go to his bar all the time, and had a blast there. And he kept telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I got my buddy, he's opening up a VR studio upstairs. And I was like, whatever, I don't care.
VR sucks,
dude. You gotta hand it to John for like having patience with me. And he put the other I remember you guys set up the second screen downstairs so you could kind of see what was happening in the VR studio. And I remember he pointed it to me, and I was like, what was that? And he goes, dude, that's happening upstairs right now live. I was like, oh shit. And it looked so interesting and so cool. And you had the little screen in the corner where you could see them doing stuff. And I think they were just playing the whatever VR arcade games it was with the bows and all that. God, I'm the worst person ever. I can't even remember what that's called. And that damn game's so fun.
That was the lab.
The lab, thank you.
Yeah.
And you guys were playing the lab and all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh damn, that looks so freaking awesome. And he's like, go upstairs. I've been telling you to go upstairs for 2 weeks now. I'm like, okay. So I finally went up there and did all that. I remember bringing my brother out and doing all this sort of stuff. And I kept thinking, I was talking to Taylor week after week doing the podcast. I said, man, you should come down and do some VR with me, and we'll do an episode. We'll get a before after shot about what you think of VR. We'll get an after shot kind of what you think of VR after you do it. And I kind of remember mentioning that idea to you, and I said, like, literally, me and Taylor were down there, and you're like, dude, this is great. That's awesome. I said, well, shit, do you want to be on the episode? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And I had never really like talked to you all that much.
Yeah. I mean, we were acquaintances, but
like, yeah, loose acquaintances. And I was floored by how well you held that podcast down. I was like, hey, this guy's legit.
Yeah. That was April of 2017 that I was on your podcast, I want to say.
Yeah.
I had at the time registered the domain for Craft Computing and reserved the YouTube channel. I did that back in March. But I didn't post an episode until July. And so I was starting to like get into like, okay, how do I want to talk and how should I talk and present myself? I was already kind of like in that mindset when you came in and did the interview. I built the VR studio as a bankroll for building YouTube because I wanted to build a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah. When did we say that was?
I think it was April 2017 is when I was on your show.
I did this wrong.
April or May.
Whatever. You're probably right. I don't know why I'm trying to look.
Yeah. Anyway, we do have some time left. I think I want to crack open another beverage.
Oh my God, dude! You had to have been the first guest. Episode 16.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. July 5th, 2017 is when I aired it. So we must have recorded that.
That was 5 days.
We must have recorded it like.
That was 5 days before my first video went live.
Well, I remember after I did that, you said, "Hey man, you gotta come back and like check out the thing I'm doing." And I didn't fully understand what you were doing, and we went up. I came back and we like drank some beers and did the first episode of Talking Heads.
Yep.
And I don't think I fully understood what was going on, but like I was totally down for it and into it. And yeah, dude.
And I said I was your first guest. Why don't you be my first guest? And yeah, the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I loved having you on for that. That's one of my favorite episodes of Game Devs Quest. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we released the first one July 3rd, and then we released the next one July 5th. So 2 days later. You were on 2 episodes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was so long.
Yes. It was a long episode.
And can you guys tell we're into talking for a long time?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy history.
Anyway, I think I'm going to grab another beverage. Darkstorm's drinking a Rogue Chocolate Stout Nitro. Any votes on what I should grab? Should I go with another beer? Should I go liquor? Should I do cocktail?
What should I grab? What do you guys want me to grab? I'm out of beer. Should I grab another?
Make a big bottom gin drink. Ooh, Civil.
I don't have gin.
I like you, Sybil. I think I will make a big bottom gin drink. But I think I need to go upstairs and get a lime. So
what's a big bottom mean?
That's big like bottom is the distillery.
Term. Oh.
Because I've been talking about that distillery for a while. Anytime I'm on like private chat with Discord, and it's one of my favorite distilleries. It's here in Hillsboro, Oregon, and it's freaking amazing.
Right up the road.
Yes. So anyway, I'm gonna give Rhett the floor here real quick, and I will be right back because I'm gonna go get an ingredient.
All right. Cool. So all right. So here we are, guys. What y'all want to talk about? Hey, we were talking about charities and things like that. Jeff included some links to bail funds around the country, which I think is really cool. But there's a charity that I also donated to as part of my game dev podcast, which is Black Girls Code. And dude, it sounds like such a cool charity. These guys are organizing, getting young Black women involved in learning to code, which I think anyone here would agree is like a really great burgeoning skill set to get your hands on. It puts it into the hands of people who, may otherwise not have like the resources to get involved with it. My podcast Game Devs Quest, we're like all about getting anybody and everybody into making games as like an entry level into like software development. And we've got so many people involved, and it just like what a cool charity. If you guys just Google Black Girls Code, I think you'll be able to find anything. And if you have something that you're able to give, or you find yourself kind of in alignment with that charity, maybe think about giving something. Honestly, like so many of these charities that I've been finding over the last weeks is like I give $5 here, $5 there. I'm not giving anything big, but then you see like how much it adds up to. It just makes you feel good. It's like I gave to that. So yeah, that's one that's kind of near and dear to our heart. Hey, and also if you guys haven't done it, like, I mean, look, I hate plugging my other stuff on Jeff's stuff, but I do Game Devs Quest, and the podcast is sort of slowing down and struggling a little bit, but go check out the episode where we got Jeff on. And that was almost 3 years ago now. I knew Jeff not at all before we had him on our podcast, and that's episode 16. I was just looking at the link. Where'd that go? Episode 16. In fact, I don't know. Maybe I can give Jeff the link later. I think he did it. But anyway, if you just go to airpodcast.com/ never mind, I'm not doing that. But anyway, the episode is called Live! From Capital Taproom Bar -VR Studio! And that's when we had Jeff come in to talk to us about VR. We got to play some VR games with him and do all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of like where I got to get involved with craft computing. So I'm super proud of that moment. Game Devs Quest was one of those things that like I knew nothing about when I started. And now I'm super proud of everything that we've worked towards and accomplished. So yeah, check out that charity. Check out that episode of Game Devs Quest. Heck, also check out the one where we interviewed Matt Uhlman. I'm super proud that we got the freaking music composer of Diablo on there. Like, how freaking cool is that, man? And I totally stalked him. I guessed on his email address and all this sort of stuff and sent out a bunch of random emails. And he was like, yo, man, yeah, I'm going to be there. Like, just hit me up after my event. Did it. He was super chill and awesome. He's a super nice guy, super active on Twitter. Also, he makes the music now for Torchlight. If you guys play Torchlight, he's involved with the company that develops that. He's working on their next title too. Super chill dude, super awesome, super talented music composer, man. If you'd never played Diablo and thought like, ooh, that music suits the mood, then you weren't playing Diablo. So,
all right. I'm going to make a gin old-fashioned.
Oh, that sounds dirty.
Right? So to do that, I'm actually going to take it's closer to a third, but about a half of a lime. I'm going to squeeze it into a shaker here.
Jeff, I'm going to go grab some too, right?
Yeah, go for it. So I'm going to take a half of a lime and just juice that into a shaker. It was a very good lime. Wow. There we go. Now this right here is Big Bottom Barrel Finished Gin, and it is one of my favorite discoveries I've made in the last couple of years. It is it's a Northwest gin made here in Hillsboro, Oregon, but it has the spruce and the juniper berry kind of esters and aromas that you really expect from a good gin. But the barrel finishing, it's aged in American oak, and it almost tastes like a rye whiskey. And in fact, that's kind of how I'm going to use it here. So I'm going to drop 2 ounces. Oh no, I don't have enough. Oh, I barely have enough. It's 2 ounces right there. Whew. That was close. I'm finishing the bottle. So apparently I need to add Big Bottom Barrel Finished Gin to my shopping list. We're going to do 2 ounces of that gin into our shaker. We're going to do about a half an ounce of just a simple syrup. 1-to-1 sugar and water. And I'm going to do 3 or 4 dashes of a cardamom bitters. This is from the Bitter Housewife. This is organic sugar, grains of paradise, cinnamon, cardamom, and walnut. There we go. And I know traditionally old fashions aren't shaken, but I added lime, so we're going to shake it. Sorry, you got to smile when you're shaking a drink.
Yeah, you do.
There we go.
That's how you get the tips, baby.
That's right.
God, can you guys see how greasy my hair is? Good Lord.
Not until you said something. And then I'm going to pour it over a single giant rock, which, by the way, my ice making has gotten pretty darn good since.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah.
Love that. Drop it down. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a little frosted, but it's So we're going to strain that into our rocks glass over a single rock with a little lime wheel right there.
That looks delicious.
Right?
And you're using Big Bottom gin.
Big Bottom Barrel Finished Gin. They make a number of different spirits, and honestly, anything that I've got from them, I have never been disappointed.
Excellent.
I have a whiskey on the shelf right now that's their Barlow Trail Whiskey 94. It is a whiskey that's been aged in port barrels, and that is freaking delicious as well.
Nice.
They have a their Delta Rye, which is a 130 proof rye. and oh my God, it's good.
Nice. That sounds delicious.
But anyway,
Hey.
this is my gin old fashioned. Oh, cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you.
Cheers. So anyway,
I miss you.
This is I miss you too, buddy. This is my gin old fashioned. It is made as much like an old fashioned as I can with just a little bit of fruit in it. And
It looks delicious.
Delicious.
This
is one of my favorite drinks.
I know all of
Civil,
you get to
good call.
watch Jeff make cocktails, but you just you know you made it when he makes you a cocktail. Look at this dang bug flying around my face. You know you've made it when he makes you a cocktail.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm drinking Jim Beam neat. So it's warm, room temperature, just like how cowboys drink it.
What do you take? Finger of whiskey?
I don't think we do that here.
I think the total of his booze collection is worth more than I make in a year.
Dude, you're not right. I think that every time.
Let me add it
Jeff's
up
like,
really quick.
Jeff's like, I got this, this, and this. I'm like, Jesus, dude, I sprung for a bottle of Jim Beam. A fifth of Jim Beam.
Say I do still have my bottle of Jameson 18 on the shelf. I have a Bullet 95 Rye 12 year. I've got a Michter Straight Rye.
Dude, I love Bullet Rye. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, this is the Bullet Rye 12. I also have a handle of Bullet Rye under the sink.
I said I like Bullet Rye, bro. Obviously, I like the Bullet Rye 12.
Yeah, right? Don't spill this one, Kraft. Skull. Watch yourself.
Jeff only spills
You may be a mod, but I'm an admin.
Got him. Yeah. Anyways.
So good. That is so good.
Yeah, I know, dude. Nuke's got a great idea. When you're done social distancing, pretend to still be social distancing and pass drinks back and forth off screen. I was totally thinking, I meant to bring it up with you. I was like, dude, we should have it set up because I do that every time. I'm like, yo, pour me some of that, you know? And then you could pretend to pour it and hand it to me, and I could be like, oh, thanks, bro. It would have been cute, but, you know, what do we do? What are we doing with our lives?
Kildy says, my fifth of Maker's Mark was $25 here in PDX. That's pretty solid for Maker's Mark.
Nice. Yeah, dude, that's a great price for Makers.
Yep.
I think I got it the other day, like not the other day. Last time I bought it, it was probably like 2 years ago, actually. I think I got it for like $22.50 or something like that on sale. But Makers is one of those ones that's kind of confusing because I swear I go some places and it's more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Oregon, it's a little bit cheaper. Or not cheaper by any means, but kind of like on par with the rest of those sort of like economy value whiskeys.
Yeah.
Dude, Makers was one I remember when I was coming of age, I'd drink it and I'd be like, oh my God, I will never be able to drink that neat. And I had some the other day and I was like, this is so smooth.
Right. It's amazing how your palate evolves.
It's truly, yeah. You know, it's all that 7 Crown I drink neat. It just burns you all the way down.
I still occasionally will drink some Seagram's just straight.
You know, 7 Crown, I talk about this every episode. Jesus, we talked about this last time I was on, but it's my go-to house whiskey.
Yep.
It's so cheap. You know, you can buy a freaking handle of that for like $20. You can buy a fifth of it sometimes for like 10. It's good. I don't know what it is. Like, you know, I think it was my dad's whiskey, so I kind of like inherited it or whatever, but like I drink it neat all the time. I got a handle of it out in the kitchen. It's my go-to. I mean, it goes with anything. It's like, all right, you want a cheap cocktail? You want to just like dump it into a glass of Coke or Dr. Pepper, ginger ale. You know, I mean, there's a reason Seagram's also makes ginger ale because it goes with Seagram's 7 Crown, baby.
Yep.
Plus, you can't have one of my favorite cocktails, 7 and 7, without 7 Crown.
7 and 7, yeah.
Awesome.
Have you tried the new Canada Dry Bold ginger ale?
Yeah, dude.
It's like a ginger beer.
Oh God, it's
delicious.
Super spicy. Yes, yeah. I remember thinking, I was like, "What is Bold, man?" And yeah, it's literally just a ginger beer. It's got that super extra bite,
Right.
But it's not nearly as expensive as ginger beer, which I'm totally on board with.
I'm totally on board with. In fact, I've started making Moscow mules with that instead of instead of going with ginger beer, because it's $4, $5, $6 for a 4-pack of ginger beer, and it was $4 for a 12-pack of the Canada Dry Ginger Bold.
Yeah.
And honestly, the taste difference was not that great in a cocktail.
Yeah, it's really good. I haven't used it in a cocktail yet, but I just love ginger. Dude, I don't like. I went to this izakaya once, which is like a Japanese bar, kind of like in a Western style.
Mm-hmm.
Western meaning like American style. And they were doing like their kind of version of like American cocktails, and they had a whiskey and ginger, but it wasn't ginger beer, it wasn't ginger ale, it was freaking ginger concentrate, dude. It was ginger concentrate. It was one of my favorite freaking cocktails, but I can't get it anywhere other than like Japanese places that serve that. It's so infuriating to me. I don't even know like how I would get ginger concentrate or anything like that for my own, home bar. But dang, it was so good, man. Oh, so good. And again, it's like every time I go to a place and I order a whiskey ginger, I hope that they're going to bring it to me like the izakayas do, but they never do. It's just like, and even then it's not even like ginger beer. It's usually just like ginger ale,
Mm-hmm.
When we went to that EK party in Las Vegas, they got that ginger beer and they had the freaking, God, was it Jameson? It must've been Jameson.
Yep.
And nobody was drinking either one. I was like, whiskey gingers all night, baby. Here we go.
I'm going to do that. Right.
Because that's just,
and you got the whiskey and ginger from me, because that's my go-to when I go to those parties.
Yeah, man.
Is either scotch and ginger or whiskey and ginger.
I kind of remember we were fighting over it a little bit, and you're like, I'm moving on to other stuff. You can have the rest of the ginger beer.
Yeah.
Damn right I can. Damn right I can.
Yeah, I moved on to vodka cranberries that night.
Vodka cranberries are always an interesting one, because it's kind of like, the cheap standby at any bar in any place in the world.
Yeah. Well, they had Grey Goose, so I was like, okay, I'll do vodka cranberry tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, vodka is an interesting one. I've been doing a lot more reading on vodka, and I must have had for the first time in my life a couple weeks ago my first potato vodka. I didn't really know that was a rarity anymore.
Traditionally, vodka was made with potatoes, but anymore it's a grain spirit.
Yeah, it's pure grain spirit. And I went for that potato vodka.
Yep.
Dude, it has its own character that's different from just straight up vodka. I was blown away.
It's a lot thicker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got like a fuller body to it. It's got kind of a more bold flavor in all portions of the mouth. I mean, you're drinking vodka through and through.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's kind of the thing. I know when I'm drinking vodka, oh, you're drinking the potato spirits, blah, blah, blah. No, you're drinking just straight up grain spirits. I think there's a rule for vodka that, I don't know how, God, I just read this just the other day and I forgot it. But, the way they make vodka is that they remove all flavor from it, Vodka
is supposed to be a neutral spirit.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be tasteless, colorless, odorless by definition.
Yeah.
So a truly good vodka is one that is not offensive.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good vodka, which is why you can get a really good vodka for like $7 or $10.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly,
because as long as it's not offensive, it's pretty good.
Honestly, you can spring for the high end vodkas, and I think you'll notice a difference. I definitely notice a difference with something like.
But the difference is so much further down the ladder, than it is for a lot of other spirits, because we talk about good gins and good whiskeys and good rums, and good tequila, and
tequila,
and you look at
there's like a lot of nuance there.
Right. Well, there's a lot of nuance in just about every spirit except for vodka. Where vodka, so early on in my drinking career, I decided that I wanted to have a lot of spirits, but I didn't necessarily want to spend, $1,000 stocking a bar. And here I am with $1,000 bar. But what I did was I went, well, what's a good whiskey? Like what's a $50 bottle of whiskey? And so I bought just a random $50 bottle of whiskey, and I said, okay, that tastes pretty good. Now, can I buy a cheaper bottle, and can I get 99% of the flavor profile? So I bought a $35 bottle of whiskey. Then I bought a $25 bottle of whiskey, then a 20, then a 17, then a 15, then a 12. And then I went back to the 15 because the 12 was awful. And so that's kind of how I landed on like, what are my house spirits? And it's an expensive way to do it, but at the same time, now I know that $15 bottle is freaking good to have around the house.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not going out and buying, $30 bottles and being disappointed anymore.
Yeah.
I still experiment a lot. I still go out and buy like, that's an interesting label and take it home and go, ooh, that wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I have like 3 gins on my shelf right now that I'm really not a fan of.
Yeah. Gin is one of those that is entirely hit or miss for me. And it's one of my favorite spirits, but it's easy to do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one? Like Crater Lake Distilling. Is that a thing? Oh, you're pointing to it. I can't see it on your screen here on Zoom, but oh, there it is. I do see it.
That
okay,
one?
Crater Lake. Okay, all right.
That one?
And I proceed to shit talk Crater Lake Gin. Because the thing is it's not a bad gin.
It's not.
But I feel like it's completely overproduced. Does that make sense? Like,
it's not a bad gin. I don't think it's also a very good gin.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. It has its place. And I have found that Crater Lake Gin has its place in specific cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when I order a gin and tonic, when I'm going fancy, I specifically want a Hendrick's and tonic.
Right.
Because I've found that that's the character that I want. A Hendrick's and tonic with cucumber as a garnish. That's the character that I want.
Yes.
Genius. Yeah. Now, Crater Lake Gin obviously has some character that I'm okay with given a certain situation. But if I'm going to make a standard gin and tonic, it's overkill. I mean, I don't know what they do with it. I truly don't. I haven't looked into it or anything, but it's pungent.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that has its place, and I'm 100% okay with that.
Right.
God, it's pungent.
Yeah. The Crater Lake Gin is one that tends to go more towards the lemon peel than it does towards the juniper. And those are pretty much the 2 main ways that I see gins going. Aviation Gin is very much a lemon peel gin, where it tastes and smells a lot more like lemon than it does like juniper.
And which way does Crater Lake Gin go?
Crater Lake is also a lemon gin.
Oh, interesting.
Is what I would call
really like Aviation Gin, but I'm not. Here's the thing. When I say I'm not a fan of Crater Lake Gin, I'm not saying I dislike it, because that's not the case. But I like Aviation Gin more than I like Crater Lake Gin. Why is that? That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe because Aviation Gin is just a little less bold in its character. What, are you pointing to Aviation Gin somewhere?
Well, no, that one's over there.
Oh, what are you?
Skull says also pay no attention to the dual GPU PCB on the shelf above Jeff's head.
Yeah.
What?
Pay no mind, peasants.
I don't know what you're talking about, Skull. Maybe it is a 7150X2. You don't know. It's not a 690. Knows. It's an AMD card.
You know, what's interesting, because I kind of feel like, not to keep bringing around to booze, but whatever, we're kind of this deep into this.
We're on booze. I don't think there's bringing it back out of booze.
Like the gin and tonic is kind of like my classic staple cocktail, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Um, and what's interesting is when you look at the history of tonic, have you ever looked at this, man? Like what tonic used to be and with the British sort of occupation of India and all this sort of stuff. And it was this like super disgusting, bitter, like medicinal tincture. And in order to make it palatable, they like put a shit ton of sugar into it. Because I was like, why does my tonic have 32 grams of sugar in it when I'm trying to make a gin and tonic? You know, why does it need that much? Apparently, that's a holdover from the old days, which is just mind blowing. And apparently, there are some tonics that you can buy that are that are in the old fashion. You can sort of buy them as a replacement for the way that they were in the 18th and 19th century, which I'd be willing to try. I haven't looked into that too closely, but like, wouldn't that be fun to kind of see what it tasted like back in the day? Because also that's part of the reason they added, gin to it, was to make it more, they add sugar to it, but then they add gin to it to make it more palatable as well.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm always curious about and I tend to be more of a Prohibition era cocktail, 20s through 50s kind of thing, than I am like a modern cocktail fan. Although there is definitely a spot for modern cocktails in my heart.
For sure.
Don't get me wrong. But to me, when you started doing the whiskey cocktail in the 1860s, and that became, the improved whiskey cocktail, and then finally the old fashioned, and then finally the Mad Men old fashioned, of the 1940s and 50s and 60s. I love that evolution. And my old fashioned is placed squarely in the 20s. That's the old fashioned that I like. It's when they started calling it the old fashioned.
Yeah.
It was hold the fruit, hold the seltzer. I want whiskey, bitters, and sugar. Yeah. And then a fruit garnish of some kind. And it's a garnish, not a muddle, not a mix, not a spritz, not a slurry. It's
By the way,
garnish.
Jeff has the correct interpretation of the old fashioned. I've never drank an old fashioned and enjoyed it without Jeff being like, giving it the old seal of approval.
Right.
I mean, every other old fashioned I've had, it's just like whiskey and syrup.
Right. Whiskey and syrup, or maybe like seltzer and whiskey if you go to certain bars. Because, dear God, I've had some bad old fashions.
Yeah. Well, it's not a thing that you can go to a traditional tavern and order, really.
Right.
It's one of the things, like, it changed my perception of my grandfather in a way when he was like, yeah, my go-to drink's an old fashioned. And I remember, my uncle trying to make him one, and he's like, you're doing it wrong. And I was just like, oh, dang. That's like, he knows what he actually likes. He's not just saying it, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why that sticks with me, but that was my grandfather's 85th birthday. He's just like, no, that's not an old fashioned.
That's terrible.
Dang.
Would you stop?
But it's interesting how that works. I wonder, what is the first cocktail ever? Obviously the Romans drank wine. Obviously beer brewing is something that's 10,000 years old.
Well, the whiskey cocktail is often seen as being one of the original cocktails, the original mix of spirits.
What specifically was it? What were they mixing?
How to Drink. Greg over at How to Drink did an amazing tour through history of the old fashioned.
You would know this.
I would.
You would.
I would. Where it was more akin to like an absinthe cocktail. Like the absinthe cocktail we know today, which you probably don't know what the absinthe cocktail is today, but it was 1860s old fashioned.
Was it only okay? Ooh.
Yeah, so it was just called a cocktail. I would like a cocktail.
Interesting.
So that's where the name cocktail comes from. is
And
the
cocktail, like,
old-fashioned.
you think they're saying like, "Yo, I want a cocktail," and they're like legitimately thinking of like a Rooster's Tail?
Kinda, but no.
So I Googled. Go ahead. You tell your story first. I'll catch up with you.
So the original old-fashioned, so the original whiskey
Yes.
cocktail
Yes.
was a raw sugar cube, a splash of water, 3 dashes of Abbott's bitters or a bitters of some kind, which was usually like cinnamon and licorice and a couple other like really, really intense flavors.
Licorice is intense.
Right. 3 ounces of a rye whiskey and an orange twist. That's an old fashioned.
Okay.
Or a whiskey cocktail or just a cocktail. And notice there's no ice in that. It was served warm because the ice trade hadn't started yet. This is 1860. And so it was served at room temperature and it was mixed at room temperature. And the reason you used a raw sugar cube was because raw sugar will dissolve in water. So
Right.
you use the splash of water and the bitters to dissolve the sugar into the whiskey. So whenever someone says, whoa, it's an old fashioned, you need to use a sugar cube. Not if you're using ice, because sugar won't dissolve in cold water or cold whiskey. And so simple syrup is actually far more accurate of a drink in that case.
Right.
But anyway, it was actually it was vastly different of a cocktail than what we know today. I know it sounds kind of familiar, but the bitters were very different. The sugar cube with a splash of water and whiskey was very different. It was served warm instead of cold. Pretty much all of our cocktails anymore are served cold. For whatever reason.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I simply Googled earliest cocktail in history.
Mm-hmm.
Google returned the Sazerac. Now before you interject,
Yeah.
it says, according to legend, the world's first cocktail was invented by apothecary owner Antoine Peychaud. I don't know if I'm saying that right. In New Orleans. He decided to name the cocktail after the drink's main ingredient, Sazerac French brandy.
Right.
I picked it up. The ingredients are very thorough.
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2 sugar cubes, 2 dashes orange bitters, 2 dashes aromatic bitters, 59 milliliters of whiskey, 1 to 2 ice cubes, 7 milliliters absinthe, lemon zest to garnish, 2 rocks glasses. Apparently, does it say? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to read on. But so the Sazerac is considered by mykitchen.co.za to be the world's oldest cocktail. The first Google research, the first Google result to be returned.
Uh-huh.
But the next entry is for the old fashioned, and I found a link.
And see, the old fashioned, like I said, was the original cocktail. And so if you're looking for the origin of the word cocktail, it's the old fashioned.
What you're saying, I see what you're saying, but I was asking about the origin.
What's the oldest actual cocktail?
Yeah.
When the Sazerac was invented and when the cocktail came into swing was kind of neck and neck.
Yeah.
And so who came up with it first? I don't know. It was popularized literally about the same time.
So I found a list on vocal.media. I don't know what the heck this website is, but it looks legit. It's titled 10 Oldest Cocktails in History. And it lists 10 of the oldest cocktails in history, and all of them are cocktails I would like to drink, and all of them are cocktails I feel like we could make a video about someday. We got the old fashioned, number 1.
Okay. So how's this? A short, sweet history of the old fashioned.
Okay.
1862, a book entitled Jerry Thomas's Bartender's Guide: How to Mix Drinks. So in 1862, there was already a book published on how to mix drinks, and Jerry Thomas is the godfather of cocktails.
All right.
Giving instructions and recipes from the early days of bartending, this book contains a recipe for an old-fashioned Holland gin cocktail, is what it's called.
Gotcha.
Crush a lump of sugar in a whiskey glass containing a little water. Add a lump of ice, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, a small piece of lemon peel, 1 jigger of Holland gin. Mix with a small bar spoon and serve.
That sounds great.
Sounds great.
Doesn't it, though?
Maybe that's going to be my nightcap.
Right. So according to Vocal Media, by the way, this is really interesting to me. The word cocktail originated in the 17th century, which means the 1600s. Jesus, can't speak. But it didn't gain popularity until the middle of the 1800s.
Right.
Popularity thanks in large part to Jerry Thomas, who you just mentioned,
Right.
who published The Bartender's Guide in 1862. Hang on one second.
But yeah,
Hey, I got something to take care of you. Good to hold it down for a second?
yeah.
All right.
Not a problem.
BRB. Anyway,
All right.
Jerry Thomas. Woo!
Yes. Yeah, for those who don't know, Jerry Thomas is kind of the godfather of even the modern cocktail, but really the cocktail revolution, and why it became popular was, like I said, the 1860s. Ice wasn't a common commodity yet. The ice trade hadn't been invented. But if you're looking for a good modern book on cocktails, I'm going to grab this book out of my bar real quick. Give me 10 seconds. If you want to get started on home bartendering, this is the book that I recommend, and I'll put an Amazon link down in the description. This is the 12 Bottle Bar. And it's a book that I absolutely love. And it's a book in which the concept I discovered completely by accident and completely through experimentation. The 12 Bottle Bar is, how can I make like 99% of the drinks on the planet with 12 bottles in my bar? And it's precisely the concept that I was working on when I was experimenting at an earlier age of, let's buy a $50 whiskey, and then a $35 whiskey, and then a $25 whiskey, then a $20 whiskey. It's figuring out, what whiskey do I want to have in my bar? And then what gin do I want to have in my bar? And then what rum, what white rum, what dark rum, what this, what that, what vermouth, what, you go down the list. And I have upstairs a stand that holds 12 bottles. And in that 12 bottle stand, I have the following. I have a Seagram 7. I have a Gordon's London Dry gin. I have a bottle of sweet vermouth. I have a bottle of dry vermouth. I have a white rum, a dark rum, and Malibu, because it's my wife's favorite. You can probably skip that third, but it's basically a spiced rum, a white rum, and a blackstrap is kind of the three that you should have. I have a vodka. I have... What else do I have? I have a brandy. I have... Basically, you go down the list, and I don't have a tequila. And that's because tequila is only useful for a margarita. And if you want a margarita, go buy tequila. Beyond that, you can make almost everything else with just 12 bottles. And so if you want to learn how to bartend at home, this book is absolutely invaluable. It's freaking awesome. It'll teach you what tools you need. It'll teach you what, the right techniques, styles of cocktails, things you might like. Hey, if you like this style of cocktail, maybe you'll enjoy this style of cocktail. But it's a great book. It really is a great book. Yeah. Tasting notes on this, because I did come up with this drink on my own. I'm going to take credit for this drink. I don't know if this drink has been done before, but this is the way I make a gin old-fashioned. An old-fashioned anymore can mean a lot of different things. We talked about the history of the old-fashioned. There's 20 different versions of a whiskey old-fashioned. But the definition that I like of an old-fashioned is it is one of the purest forms of a single spirit drink, where it's a little bit of sugar, it's the spirit itself, it's some kind of bitters if you need it, and it's maybe a fruit accent. And when I say accent, I mean the fruit is not necessarily added to the drink. In this case, I did do a squeeze of about a third of a lime into the drink. You could even do like a quart or an eighth wedge of a lime into the drink, and then I garnished it with a lime wedge. But I love this drink, and I make a rum old fashioned. I've made a brandy old fashioned. I've made a Scotch old fashioned, and obviously my whiskey old fashioned. Have I ever been to Huber's in PDX for a Spanish coffee? I have not, but it is on my list of things to do. I don't get up to Portland all that often, especially early morning. Usually I'm there in the afternoons. But no, I am very well aware of Huber's. So. But that is a very good drink. That place gets you happy very fast, but it is so good. Yeah, no, I am well aware of what Huber's is. And yeah, they are very much in my heart and a place that I would like to visit at some point. One of my favorite local places is the Archive. It's the Archive Coffee Bar in downtown Salem. And they are a coffee bar during the day and a bar at night. And oh man, they are all about the craft cocktail. And if you can catch them on the right night, they also have a downstairs room, which if you walk in and they say, do you want to dine upstairs or do you want to go to the speakeasy? You go to the speakeasy. Because the speakeasy is where they make their craft cocktails, where they have a specialist bartender and a special menu, and that is where you get the creme de la creme of cocktails. I was fortunate enough to be able to take Rhett down there once, and we got a smoked old fashioned, and they actually smoked raw hickory down there and infused it into the drink, and oh my god, that was one of the best old fashions I've ever had. So yeah, that's where I like to go. Protests got the views down this week. Yeah, we peaked at 90, 92, 93, something like that. Yeah, the views are down a little bit this week. Probably my title didn't help things. Probably the fact that I've mentioned COVID and protests and Black Tuesday probably didn't help things all that much. All right, he's back.
Sorry about that.
That's
Family
okay.
emergency,
Not a problem.
young children and all that.
Yep.
So, where were we?
I was introducing them to a book that I stumbled upon completely by accident and stumbled onto the concept completely without reading the book, which is the 12-bottle bar.
Oh, yeah. I remember you, me, and John talking about this quite a bit.
Yep.
The perfect 12-bottle bar.
Yes. The reason I like this book so much is it lists 12 bottles, and one of them is not tequila. And it specifically excludes tequila from the 12-bottle list because it says tequila is only good for a daiquiri and a margarita. So if you want a daiquiri or a margarita, get a 13th bottle.
It's
but beyond
also
that,
good.
Skip it.
It's also good for adding Tabasco.
Right. But,
which is one of my favorite little drinks. Tabasco and tequila. So good. My mouth is water. What? Have you ever tried it? It's so good. It's so good.
I've done tequila. I don't like tequila. It's not on my list of things that I like.
What? You don't like Patron?
I don't like Patron.
Okay. That's fine. All right. Anyway. Oh, dang it. My video control's on my phone. Got me this time.
Let's see. Do we have any closing thoughts? It is 10:20.
I was going to say, after the Old Fashioned and the Sazerac, that the Pisco Sour was rated number 3, Manhattan number 4, Mint Julep number 5, Gin Fizz, Sidecar.
I was going to say Ramos Gin Fizz has got to be in there. Gin Ricky's got to be in there. Yep.
Aviation.
Yep. That's earlier than I would have thought for an Aviation.
And Blue Blazer. Those are the top 10
That's
oldest
a surprising
cocktails
one
in
on the
history.
list.
I'm just
like Aviation. I'm going. That's a little early. Blue Blazer. I'm going. Really? In your top 10?
Oldest.
Like yeah, maybe.
I'm just surprised that they're not saying that like the Romans had their own cocktail. Like they drink so much red wine, like they didn't
They
have
drink
like
a lot
red
of
wine and
wine.
Coca-Cola.
They didn't necessarily drink or distill spirits.
Okay, because I guess the definition of cocktail is that it has to have 3 ingredients and one is a spirit, right? Like,
right.
That's kind of like the go-to.
Right.
So what the hell is the ingredients in gin and tonic? You got gin and tonic.
Right. Honestly, the 2 ingredient drinks are kind of on the fringe there. Like you have your rum and Coke, which is like, yeah, I know that cocktail. But you've also got a Cuba Libre, which is a rum, Coke, and lime.
So that's probably what a gin and tonic is. Then it includes the garnish.
Yeah, it includes your garnish as well.
Gotcha.
So,
you know, one of my favorite drinks, red wine, Coca-Cola, baby. Don't knock it till you try it. It's pretty okay. Get yourself some of that $2 chuck. Save some money. Oh, get out of here. You're knocking it.
I'm considering knocking it.
See, I've done everything with red wine. You buy it, and then you get the cheap red wine, then you mull it with some good Christmas winter spices, nutmeg, and all that sort of stuff. Oh my God, mulled wine is so good. But then in the summer,
agree there.
Oh God, it's so good. Then in the summer though, you can't mull wine and drink warm wine. That's just barbaric. So you just mix it with a little Coca-Cola.
Yep. Civil says whiskey and ginger ale. That's one of my favorites. And that's sure. If I'm going to a party in Vegas, that's usually actually the drink that I get at CES is give me a whiskey and ginger or a scotch and ginger. Scotch and ginger is freaking good.
Yeah. That's my go-to.
And don't at me with the don't ruin scotch like that. You should drink it straight. Drink however you want to drink. And scotch and ginger is delicious.
Nobody's ruining an 18-year-old scotch that way.
Right.
Or are we?
I may have had a Johnny Walker Blue in an old fashioned, or not an old fashioned, but a Godfather.
That's fine, because how old is the Johnny Walker Blue? It can't be that old, right?
It's a $300 bottle.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
You're paying for the name.
Right.
Let me Google this.
I don't believe Blue has an age statement. It's simply a blended whiskey, but the blends go upwards of 24 years.
Yeah, so I see Blue Label is not stated.
Right.
Green Label is 15 years. Platinum Label is 18 years.
Yeah.
Gold Label could be 18 years. I don't know. Yeah, that's... It says on Wikipedia, take this as you will. Johnny Walker's premium blend, Blue Label, is blended to recreate the character and taste of some of the earliest whiskey blends of the 19th century. It bears no age statement because bottles are numbered serially and sold in a silk-lined box accompanied by a certificate of authenticity. It is one of the most expensive blended Scotch whiskeys on the market, prices ranging from $174 to $450. Over 25 limited editions have been released. Yeah, I've had some Blue Label and it's delicious, but yeah, I was going to say, like, it never tasted particularly like aged, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not a connoisseur by any means. Like, don't let my palate fool you, but
it's very good.
Yeah.
I have had some much better whiskey at a much cheaper price point. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true as well. I mean,
like, it's really good. It's really, really good.
And it really depends on your palate, you know?
Right.
I prefer like smokier tasting.
Yeah. You prefer more of an Islay whiskey versus a Highland whiskey.
Yeah. So, you know, there is personal preference to be considered, but But when you go to Las Vegas
Taste
and
is
they're handing out,
subjective.
yeah,
So-
that's who are we to argue? But when they're handing out free scotch, you generally take the blue label.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
that's that.
That's that. And I think that's going to be episode 135
135, y'all.
here on Talking Heads.
It's a historic week, the 135th week of Talking Heads from Craft Computing.
Not concurrent, but we've taken the odd break. But yeah,
How many breaks
basically,
have you taken? Like
two?
I was gonna say, yeah, like not more than two.
We didn't do a Christmas show one year. I think 2 years ago we didn't do a Christmas show, and I think I've taken off for the 4th of July once. I want to say,
yeah.
I
do
but
recall that.
beyond that, we've been pretty solid.
The 137th week of Talking Heads from Craft Computing, episode 135.
Well, technically, remember, episode 1 had like a 3-month gap between episode 2.
You're killing me.
And you're frozen again. God, you were good for so long.
I know. What am I doing here? Whatever. I'll fix it. All I got to do is press the stop video button and then repress it on my call. One of these days. Oh, my video is completely stopped now. What the hell's happening?
He's just Rhett.
God. Yeah, no Red is awesome this time. Just Rhett.
Just Rhett.
I swear to all that is holy. Although I have a feeling like who's going to cover next week because John's going to be unavailable.
I haven't decided yet. I haven't asked either of you. I was considering reaching out to someone else and seeing if they wanted to cover.
Yeah, do that. That's
because
fun.
I wanted to try that first, and then I'll bounce back to one of you guys.
You're all good. I'm sorry I spoiled the surprise.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Because I was gonna say like, oh, maybe I'll try and have my camera fixed by next time, but if it's next week, that ain't happening. Yeah, kind of a bummer about that, but no, this has been a great episode. We thank you all for sticking with us, and we thank you all for checking out those some of those links that we posted down on the show notes below. Yep. And
please check out all the links, especially the first one. Please go check out the first one.
Yes, I will personally thank each and every one of you for doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, times are changing. My dad was saying the other day, he goes, man, I was living in San Francisco during civil rights, and this is just the same thing. This is 1968 all over again.
Yeah.
And that's cool to think, man, because like I read that in the history books. I'm like, what a cool thing. Yeah. So, regardless of wherever you stand on it, like history is being written day by day right now. Your children are going to read about it when they're in high school. And that's exciting and interesting, and doesn't matter where you land on the spectrum. So wherever you are, stay safe on that. And, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy. There is still a pandemic going on, regardless of anything else. So
it didn't just go away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, notice we're still remote.
I wish it did go away. That's the other interesting thing. I was kind of messaging Jeff about this. We're trying to sign off here, so I apologize for this.
It's okay.
But I was telling Jeff, I was like, it's interesting that we're doing remote, because even if we weren't, we might have had to this week. Yeah. Because there's a curfew in our town.
You're right. There's a curfew in Salem right now, and I mean, you could go the back way, but
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's true. I guess if I would have went out the back way, I could have got to Independence and not.
You can go out and around the other bridge, right?
Jesus, though, that would have taken like 30 minutes or more.
Oh, it's a 35-minute drive.
That would have been the same drive to your old place.
Right. Yeah,
I love your new place because it takes me like, if there's no traffic, it's like 12, 15 minutes max.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But anyway, regardless of wherever you, we hope you all staying healthy. We hope you staying safe. We hope that y'all are happy and on all that, well fed, well furnished and drink or merriment or entertainment. I mean, for God's sake, Avatar: The Last Airbender is on Netflix. What more can you ask for? So, yeah, it's been a blast being back on the show. Can't wait for the next time. Check out those links, and hey, check out the Patreon.
Check out the Patreon.
So. Jeff's videos have been on point.
Thank you. If you want to keep the party going and kind of chat with us all week long, join the Patreon. Link down in the video description below. Minimum donation of $1 a month gets you access to the exclusive Discord server. When I say exclusive, I mean there's not a bunch of riffraff on there. I mean it is every single person has paid at least $1 to get access to the Discord server. And by extension, people want to be there. And it is very much an active Discord server, the most active one I've ever been a part of, and I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
And that community is astoundingly good. So if you want to be a part of something really, really cool, and you want the bonus perk of having, immediate access to myself, Rhett, John, Steve, jump on there. And it really does, literally help keep the lights on around here. So give it a look. Yeah. Consider joining. You won't be sorry. And on that note, this has been episode 135 of Talking Heads. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, we will see you every Wednesday night here at 8 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. We'll see you next week. Where'd my mouse go? There it is.